give it like 10 seconds. I'll let you know when it's no longer. All right, right now. Right. Go for it.
All right, hey everybody. I'm Brian Vore from 2K. We have a very special guest, as you know, Mr. King Barrett, WWE superstar. Welcome to the show.
Hey there, thank you very much. Pleasure to be on. I'm sure I'm going to get humiliated now.
Yeah.
Lack of experience, but yeah, it's all good fun.
Great. Well, we've got several members of the development team. Why don't you guys introduce yourselves and kind of explain your role in the game?
Lionel Jinx here, the creative director, in charge of art and other various aspects of the game.
Dino Zacconi, production assistant, just trying to make sure everyone looks the right way, get everything right.
Ramel, game designer on my career.
Shane Kemp, animation lead, in charge of entrances, making sure all the animation looks pretty and sweet in the game.
And the holder of the 2K championship.
I took it back from Finn last week when he left.
That's in advance.
Yeah.
We didn't let him leave with that one.
Yeah.
Well, today we're all here to try out the new Legends Pack DLC, which comes out on December 22nd. It's got 6 legends from the business, and we're going to play through all of them today, so you guys get a first look at them, and you also get to see how awesome King Barrett is at the game.
Don't get too much, right? Playing with the pros here.
Well, the pros lost to Finn Balor. So,
Very true.
Awesome. Well, you guys want to start off with the match here?
Dino, me and you.
Alrighty.
Sit back, relax. Yeah.
Who you taking, Dino?
I think I'm gonna serve you some hard time, be the big boss man.
So while these guys are playing, chat, feel free to send out any questions you may have for King Barrett. He has said that he'll answer anything we throw his way. So King, how's the? How are you liking how your current faction is going these days? The kind of leader just lost the title.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a pretty poor start, let's be honest. I mean, on paper it's a great faction, but we've not been having a good run so far. But I think now that Sheamus has lost his title, I think that gives us a bit more impetus to step our game up and try and get that title back one way or another. We've got, obviously I'm the king of the ring, so I've got something. Del Rio's the US champ, so that's pretty important too. And you know, fingers crossed we can get something for Sheamus pretty soon and something for Rusev too. So yeah, we'll be doing it pretty hard going into the Raw Rumble now.
Awesome. How was it seeing the big boss Vince McMahon out on Raw? Was he pretty frustrated with how things turned out at the very end of the show?
You know, when the boss has a bad day, it's advisable to get out of the arena as quickly as you can, because he has a tendency to come back and fire anybody he sees. He kind of goes on a rampage and goes on the warpath. So I can assure you, the second I saw him take that punch from Roman Reigns, I was 250 miles down the road with my foot flat against the floor and not looking back. So that's why I wasn't out there that night. Actually, I knew the boss was going out there. I didn't want to get into it.
Sounds like a good plan.
Well, I still have a job, so it must have worked.
We haven't gotten any emails or anything lately.
Famous last words, right?
So we have our first chat question. Owen McCoy is here 3. Wants to know what your future goals are in WWE.
Well, you know, I've always been of the opinion that there's never been a British World Heavyweight Champion before. When you look at some of the talent that's been there in the past, guys like William Regal and the British Bulldog, Davey Boy Smith, the Dynamite Kid. You know, I think that needs to change. We've already had an Irish World Heavyweight Champion in Sheamus. He's won it about 5 times now, I think. So ultimately, a goal is to get a British World Champion. I'd love that to be me. Neville's up there now too. I think he's got great potential and a very good candidate to be in that role. But since day one of deciding I wanted to get to WWE, my aim was to be the champion. And the day that that hope evaporates is the day I'll leave WWE. I don't see why I would be there unless I felt I had a chance.
Battle is underway, and you can cut the
it's
tension
not
with a knife. Many
that's
punches
my aim,
still
that's my
linger.
goal,
There's no
and,
better way to settle a score than two people getting in that ring and
Real
fighting.
quick, we've got two characters from the Legends pack playing right now. We have who's on Dusty Rhodes right now?
Hard times, baby, hard times.
All right, Dino's on Big Boss Man.
You can get some justice served your way.
Actually, my Winds of Change move that I do is a modified Bossman Slam. So Bossman's finishing move, with the way you used to hit that, I do a spin with it too. So it's a modified version of his move. And Dusty Rhodes is another one who had a huge influence on my career. He was involved in the creative process in FCW, Florida Championship Wrestling, when I was wrestling down there in developmental. That was the precursor to NXT that you see these days. And he had a huge influence on me in terms of my speaking ability, my work on the microphone, and a lot of character stuff when I came out. Originally, people remember when I came out NXT, I was wearing kind of a jacket on my shoulders, and I was had a rose in my lapel and stuff like that. And a lot of that came from Dusty Rhodes' ideas and him tweaking ideas I take to him. So he's been a very big help in my career.
Very nice. Obviously, Wade Barrett,
Extra slow, getting back to his base here.
famously the leader of the Nexus Rebellion as well. Early on in that, we have a couple more questions
This is
here.
exactly
We have
how he drew this one up.
Cryptic King wants to know what your favorite. I believe he means what your favorite match in WWE so far has been in your career.
You know, my favorite matches in WWE usually take place on our live events, and what live events are, for those who don't know, are the non-televised shows. I think there's always a very different atmosphere at those. It's when the camera's on watching us, and it's usually we tend to get a bit more time in the ring. It's a bit more relaxed, it's a bit more fan interactive, and certainly a different vibe. So I have a lot more fun on those shows than I do at TV with the constraints we have in terms of times and hitting commercial breaks and things like that. It's always a little different on TV. So I'd say my favorite matches have been against guys like Dolph, Kofi Kingston, Sheamus, people like that, and various live events across the world, really. But I'd say if I had to pick one particular match that was my favorite in WWE on TV, I'd probably go with a match I had with Kofi Kingston in 2011, which is where I won my first Intercontinental Championship. I think I was a member of the Core at the time, which was an ill-fated group I was in for a short period of time. But I was never won the Intercontinental Championship before. It was a title that my hero, the British Bulldog Davey Boy Smith, had won before. So to follow in his footsteps and actually win that title was huge for me at that time, and I was really proud of the match too. I thought it was a pretty cool little match that I had with Kofi, so I'd say that was my favorite.
Nice. So we're trying to fix this, but everyone, just so you know, we're just trying to speak a little bit louder overall for everyone, just because we're having some mic sensitivity issues. But for the next question, we have Teen Idols FV. If you could be in a tag team, past or present, who would you team up with? Anyone from any era of wrestling?
You know, if I could pick anyone from the history of wrestling to team up with, I'd have to go with the British Bulldog Davey Boy Smith. He's one of the main reasons why I fell in love with WWE and professional wrestling, and to this day, you know, I watch his matches. I love watching what he was doing. He was a huge inspiration for me, especially being an English guy in WWE at the time. There weren't many English guys around at that time, so I was obviously a kid growing up in England, so to watch one of my countrymen out here in the US, it was a huge inspiration for me, and made me believe as a kid that it's something I could follow in his footsteps and do myself. So I'd have to say the British Bulldog Davey Boy Smith would be my ideal tag team partner. I think if I had to choose someone nowadays, I'll leave aside the guys from the League of Nations, because I'm kind of in a pseudo tag team with all of those guys at the moment. But if I had to pick anybody else on the roster, I think I'd pick Neville. I think we're complete opposites in terms of our kind of in-ring techniques and skills and our movesets and things like that, so I think we mesh pretty well there. And obviously the fact that he's a fellow Brit, I think there's a natural alliance there that I'd like to work alongside him and have some fun in that capacity. So Neville would be my choice right now.
I'd watch that. That sounds like a great pairing. And you guys have like kind of kind of difference in physique as well, I think you guys can play off each other really well.
Exactly. It's you know, he's a little shorter than me, but he likes doing all those high flying crazy moves that fans love, and then I'll come in and just punch and kick people, which is what I specialize in.
Perfect. We have another question here from Ninja Japo 2000. If you have an ideal WrestleMania opponent that you'd like to face off against,
I think there we go. Winter change you just did right there. Spinning version.
Oh,
See a replay
nice.
of that. There we go. It's my move. That's who I stole it from, the boss man. Ideal WrestleMania opponent. I think the obvious answer has to be the Undertaker. I'm sure that everybody would like to lock horns with Undertaker at WrestleMania. I got to have a little bit of a wrestle with him in the UK on tour recently. That was a lot of fun. Unfortunately, it ended pretty badly and he tombstoned me. But fingers crossed I get to lock up with him again at some point in the future. He doesn't wrestle too often these days, so to get in there with a legend like him, it's a real treat and a real honor. So to be able to do that at the biggest stage of them all at WrestleMania, that would be an absolute dream come true. And you know, I saw a good friend of mine, Bray Wyatt, locking up with him last year at WrestleMania. So this year at in Dallas, I'm not sure who he's going to be taking on, but I'd like to throw my name in the hat for that one.
we have another question here. Unkept Jordan wants to know, I believe this may apply to just wrestling, it may just be anyone ever, but they want to know who you would swap places with for a day if you could.
If I could swap places with anyone in the wrestling world, at the moment I'd like to swap places with Roman Reigns. I mean, I've never been world heavyweight champion. He's walking around with that world heavyweight title at the moment, and that is every guy in the locker room's dream to have that title. So to get to experience that and walk around as the champion for the day, I think that's the obvious answer to me. That's what we're all gunning for. That's where we all want to be. Right now, he has a target on his back. I mean, every guy in the locker room is after him, and especially the League of Nations. You know, as far as I'm concerned, he took that title from Sheamus, and he's really taking it from the League of Nations. So our goal is to go after him and get that title back as soon as possible.
Well, speaking of League of Nations, Gaming Poison 89 wants to know what is next for the League of Nations. What are your guys' big plans?
Well, big plans first and foremost, like I say, is to get that title back. I think it's in the contracts that Sheamus gets a rematch against Roman Reigns. Roman beat him for his title, so he's due at least one rematch, which I'm guessing is probably going to take place at the Royal Rumble. That's not a spoiler or an announcement or anything like that. It's not official yet in any capacity. I'm just guessing that's what's going to happen. So fingers crossed that's where we get to and we end up taking that. And then on top of that, I'm hoping that all four of us end up in the Royal Rumble match itself towards the end of January. And if one of us wins it, we'll end up getting a shot at that title at WrestleMania in Dallas this year. So next year, I should say. So that's the immediate aim. I think we need to really strengthen at the moment because we've had a bad run the last couple of weeks. We've been getting beat up pretty badly, so I mean, we need to really consolidate and start pushing forward and make our way back to winning that title for one of us.
I was curious myself, you guys creating Wade Barrett's character, what were some interesting things when you were kind of scanning him in? Like, what were some interesting things that you were able to incorporate that weren't possible before kind of the more current technology we have now?
So, I mean, first and foremost, is Barrett's cape. I mean, just getting that cape, having him hold it, walk with it, shoot it up in the air, and take it off and stuff. Just it was a lot of fun. It was stressful to get in because it was hard to get kind of physically fall and off his shoulders correctly, but it worked. It worked well. It was cool. Let's get the crowd to see the boom.
Yeah, I got to say the fact that the cape was added this year was pretty impressive. Also, I noticed little details like that. I've always been a cape guy in wrestling, so to actually see that come to life on the game and see how great the artistry is in the you know, the way they've delivered that, it's incredible. And the graphics this year are just beyond. So you guys did a great job.
The other thing too is now that we're scanning superstars, Wade was kind enough to let us scan him to get his likeness accurate in the game. but you changed so much from 15 and 16 because you got so ripped, and we're like, we got to redo this whole model.
Dropped a little weight on that one. Yeah, I got kind of shredded for a while. I was particularly impressed at how well you got my nose, though. That's, you know, people always compliment various body parts, like, oh, you got great abs now, or whatever it is, but my nose is the thing I'm most proud of, and I think 2K16, they really captured it in all its busted up glory. Right there. Is this me? Am I up against someone now?
Big so.
Right there.
Do you wanna bet on the sticks?
Let me just read my cheat sheet once again.
This one over?
Oh, that's everybody.
You stole my finisher, Dino.
The body slam?
The old body slam hasn't beaten anyone in 30 years until now. It's beat you, though.
No, I haven't used my finisher. You stole it, so
Oh,
I
yeah.
couldn't use it.
I couldn't believe you counted him a boss man slam. I was good at it.
Awesome.
You gotta just go down. Yep, you take hit AX.
Download and superstars.
Go.
So we've got.
Can I not go as myself? Oh, you want me to
Also
go as-
hit circle, and then go to superstars.
That one?
Up one, yeah. There you go. And then right there.
There we go.
We'll bring
So if you're just tuning in, we just played as Dusty Rhodes and Big Boss Man, and now we have Roddy Piper and Mr. Perfect facing off against Wade Barrett as himself.
Two of my favorites of all time now. I'm going to have to beat them both up at this one.
You have like an 8-pack in that picture.
I've been drinking a few beers since then. Not quite an 8-pack anymore.
6 is still alright.
Yeah.
I'll get it back from you.
So as you mentioned, these are your heroes. We have Dead Kikila 121212.
Oh, him!
I like that guy. He's classy.
They want to know what your ideal fantasy matchup would be. After seeing some of the male superstars in the Legends pack, which one of the 4 would you want to face off with in real life if that were possible in a fantasy situation?
I think I'd have to go with, I mean, Dusty Rhodes would be great because he's taught me so much, so there's definitely that kind of history I've got with Dusty Rhodes, but I was always a bigger fan of Dusty's kind of performances on the mic and his character stuff. So I think in the ring, I was a huge fan of Mr. Perfect. I thought he was incredible, the way he moved, the way he executed moves. I just thought he was one of the best of all time in that capacity. So I think to be able to get in the ring with Mr. Perfect would be my ideal out of those 4 for sure.
Very nice. It also has someone with the name Wade's biggest fan.
Well, if you're a fan of me, you have to be my biggest fan. There is only one fan of me.
I don't know about that, but he or she wants to know what are some of your favorite bands / musicians?
My favorite bands, the Manic Street Preachers is a British band that I've liked for a long time. I've actually got a tattoo on my right arm with some of their lyrics on there. I was inspired by them. Stone Roses are another one that I really like. The Happy Mondays, The Clash, The Rolling Stones. A lot of kind of old British bands is kind of how I look for my music. So the Beatles are another one. I don't really like too much modern music. There's not too many bands that I listen to that are around these days. I think that's a sign of getting old, when it was better in my day kind of thing. But yeah, those are the kind of melodic, guitar-based bands from the UK in like probably the 80s, the 70s, and the 60s. That tends to be what I usually listen to.
Nice. Well, speaking of Manic Street Preachers, we saw in Superstar Inc. your episode.
Okay.
You had a lot of stories to tell about your tattoos there.
Yeah, for sure. That's how she was on YouTube, or it's on the WWE channel somewhere. So that's with Corey Graves. He's a very talented announcer down in NXT. I'm sure he's going to be on the road with WWE in the future. But yeah, that's a cool episode. Check that out if you're interested in knowing more about that tattoo.
We got another question from Sketchbook LP. Wants to know your thoughts on the number of Europeans currently in WWE and NXT.
I think it's great. I mean, WWE is a global company. I think now with things like the network and the internet and Twitters and stuff like that, it's, you know, when I was growing up, WWE was very much a North American company, and to an extent, we felt like outsiders in the UK watching WWE and being fans of WWE and getting, you know, we were almost an afterthought in the WWE universe at that point. But I think now when you've got so many Euros over there, you've got myself, Cesaro, Sheamus, Neville, Paige, and then on top of that, if you go to NXT, you've got obviously champion down there, Finn Balor. It's great, and it's get up, Wade, come on. There we go, right then. I've completely lost my train of thought now. There we go, Piper. Sorry, I literally can't even remember the question. I mean, gross. Oh, Europeans, that was it. Those pesky Europeans that would be perfect. Yeah, so I think it's great. I mean, you know, anywhere around the world, fans want to see their countrymen in the ring, and I'm no bigger. There is no bigger.
That's why we were being quiet.
You know, when I was a kid, my favourite was always the British Bulldog, Davey Boy Smith. He was a great superstar, a great talent, but primarily the reason I liked him so much was because he was a British guy just like me. So, you know, I get that people want to watch their own countrymen, and, you know, to grow WWE and keep expanding and having more and more success, that's going to be a DQ.
I don't think the rest saw it. He's only looking for it.
He's got something in his eye right now.
Yeah, so I think, you know, the more people we can get from around the world, the better. And that doesn't just go for Europe, that goes for every nation. You know, Australia or South Africa, India, Japan, wherever it is. I know we need to get superstars from around the world.
Awesome. It must be nice to be able to go on the European tours every once in a while. You guys go at least a few times a year, right?
Yeah, for sure. I love going out there. Traditionally, I've always been cheered in the UK. It's always been a bizarre situation for me for my entire career. I've always been the bad guy, and I think I probably always will be. Certainly according to Vince, anyway, he doesn't ever want me to be in the kind of good guy role. But going to the UK, I usually get cheered. I would say this most recent tour is the first time I've gone there, and they've just unanimously booed me, which has been pretty interesting. So I don't know what I ever did, but something's changed, and they all now hate me. So there's literally nowhere in the world I can go and get cheered anymore. Which I'm actually fine with. You know, it's you know, I enjoy being the bad guy. It's a role I feel I excel in.
Yeah, definitely. We have another question from Dank16. Wants to know what NXT talent that's currently down there that you would like to take on someday in the future.
Well, I can say for certain that Finn Balor is incredible. I've been in the ring with him a few times. Actually, in my first ever match, in 2004, I was an independent wrestler in the UK. My debut match, I wrestled a guy, an Irish guy, who later became Finn Balor. So the first time I was ever in the ring was about 50 people in the crowd there. I was in the ring with Finn Balor. He'd been wrestling about 2 years at that point. It was my first ever match. So he's somebody who I can't wait until he gets up there. A very, very talented guy. And I'm sure if anyone checks him out on the WWE network in NXT, they'll agree with me. So he'll be up here pretty soon. Another one I really like is a guy called Jason Jordan. I had an injury probably about 4 years ago now. Broke my arm, and when I was coming back, I went to NXT at the time, which was developmental. And one of the trainers there put me in a ring with a guy to kind of shake off my ring rust, and it was Jason Jordan. He was very new at the time. He hadn't been wrestling too long, but I could tell there and then that this guy was very talented. And watching him now, he's working in a tag team with another guy, I can't remember his name, but he's really come into his own now, and I think in the next year or so, I think you'll see him and his tag team partner up on the main roster, and I think they're going to go a long way. A very naturally gifted athlete. He's found a character now that's, I think, is going to connect pretty well, and he's going to go a long way. He's finally kind of clicked, and it's about time we see him up on the main roster very soon. So those are the two that are jumping out at me right now.
Awesome. awesome. Yeah, like his buddy is Chad Gable.
Chad Gable.
I know him because he's a Minnesota boy. So.
Okay.
So he's from my home state there.
Yeah, two talented guys. I don't think I've met Chad before, but I've certainly met Jason a few times. And apparently I can go a long way with the current way they go.
Okay, so we have some people tuning in from the UK.
Perfect Blacks.
hello.
Perfect Blacks. Ah!
Oh! Saved it.
Thank you, Piper.
Anytime.
Guys, a triple threat, not a handicap.
Yeah, we've got a bunch of UK fans watching, so they want to say hi to you.
Okay, hello. Okay.
As well. And there's a lot of chatter on there. They want to hear about the Wayne Rooney moment from Raw.
What do they want to hear about? I don't want to talk about that. Slap me and it hurt.
He was mouthing off a little bit, right?
What about the times when I actually win? You might have to go back about 3 or 4 years to find one of those times. But now Wayne Rooney, I mean, I've always respected Wayne Rooney as a footballer. I mean, he's England's highest ever goal scorer, which is in itself a massive achievement. You know, I'm a huge football fan, or a soccer fan, I should say, in this country. But I mean, you come to WWE and, you know, call me out, slap me in front of. Oh no! No!
Look at you. Look at you.
God, I hate Perfect so much. I hate it.
He's so cocky.
So anyway, yeah, I mean, he came along to a WWE show and I mouthed off him a bit. He gave me a slap and then disappeared very quickly after that. I went looking for him, but he'd already gone. So I mean, I've given Wayne Rooney an open invite to come and fight me at WrestleMania this year. If he wants to take me up on that, he's more than welcome. I'm sure he's got his hands full with Manchester United games and England games this summer, or next summer, I should say. But you know, anytime he wants to come along, he's more than welcome. But another one I want to go after is Roy Keane. He's another one who's been mouthing off lately. Likes to see himself as a bit of a tough guy. He's not in my league. I've got about 100 pounds on him, and if he wants to step up too, just give me the call and we'll make that happen.
Cool. Well, let's get a quick pick here of
the loser, King Barrett.
Who got the victory on that one?
I got the victory.
All right, so
Dino.
there we go. We'll get this tweeted out. Great.
Awesome. There we go.
Diva action?
Okay, time for some divas. We got Trish and Lita coming up here.
All right.
Hey, you guys want to play?
What? No, I'm good.
Just check.
But you know what? You
I'll
won.
let Dino
You
hold this.
play your-
You want to check it out?
Wow, that's heavy.
Yeah.
Right?
A solid whack with that. Has anyone been smashed in the head with this yet?
No, I have a feeling it might happen today.
Catch my layer after the stream's over.
That's nice.
Shouldn't be climbing over the top rope, buddy.
Yeah.
It's a huge mistake.
Yeah.
Oh.
Dino, you want the honors?
Sure, why not? I'd like to see
Fury?
Tyson Fury.
He's kind of a law unto himself, that guy. I don't think we can control him. He's a bit of a wild man.
I couldn't believe he beat Klitschko.
Yeah, unbelievable. It's great to have a British world champion in the boxing again, a world heavyweight champion.
Yep. There you go.
Great. Well, we've got a question from Adam Rules 15. Wants to know how you like working with John Cena. Like, what is it like to work with the man you cannot see?
Yeah, I mean, John Cena's a guy who's at the top of his game in WWE. He's been the biggest star in the company for probably the last 10 years, I'm guessing now. So, I mean, you measure yourself in wrestling. It's a bit of a weird environment where you measure yourself on the kind of storyline you're involved in, the kind of opponent that you're put in the ring with. That gives you a good idea of where you're at in your career. And certainly in 2010, when I was wrestling John, I was in the biggest angle in the company, and that was a huge moment for me to go from being a complete unknown in May of 2010 to suddenly June, July, August 2010, I was the biggest bad guy in wrestling. So to be able to get in the ring with John at that period of my career was great. It was a big boost for me. made me a household name in professional wrestling terms overnight, and you know, it was a fascinating period in my life. So to be in there with John, you're in there with the top guy, and I think Roman Reigns is probably heading in that direction. Give Roman Reigns 1 or 2 years now, and I think he will be the new kind of top guy in WWE and the guy who's pulling the train along. So to be in there with guys like that, it means you're also kind of the top level in the world of wrestling. So it's great to be in there with those people.
Great. For those of you just tuning in, we're playing the Legends Pack DLC right now. It releases on December 22nd. It is priced at $8.99 and is part of the season pass as well for $24.99. Right now we have TRISH STRATUS facing off against Lita. Earlier we played as Big Boss Man, Dusty Rhodes, Roddy Piper, and Mr. Perfect. And next we have a question from Cam5422. I know you're a big European football fan, but we got a question here if you watch any NFL American football, and if so, is there a team you like?
Yeah, I do actually watch the NFL. I've been watching NFL for about 10 years now, so although I've never played it, so I wouldn't consider myself an expert in the intricacies of the game, I certainly enjoy watching it, and I have a pretty decent knowledge of it. My team is the Chicago Bears. I've kind of gone off them the last 2 years. They're still my team. They always will be my team, but I'm not a huge fan of their quarterback, Jay Cutler. So until they get rid of him, I don't feel like I'm really kind of get too involved in supporting them and get too excited about them, because I just don't think they're going to go too far with him as the quarterback. But I'm in the WWE Fantasy Football League. I haven't done too well this season. My best year was 2 years ago. I actually came second. I lost to Curtis Axel, sorry, he was the winner that year. But this year I destroyed Kofi Kingston twice, which is the most important achievement, because he's a big smack talker. So I really enjoyed beating Kofi Kingston.
Great. We also have a question from T.O. Flyers. Wants to know if you have any favorite cities, stadiums, or arenas that you enjoy performing in.
Well, I'd say lucky arenas for me have always been Miami, Florida. That's always been a lucky one. That's where we debuted the Nexus when we did our big attack. So that's always pretty memorable for me. Dallas, the American Airlines Arena in Dallas is always a good one for me. I actually won season 1 of NXT there. I also had a very big match, which was the Hell in a Cell match in 2010 against John Cena. I won it there, so that's always been a pretty good arena for me too. And aside from that, I love going to the UK, wrestling in Manchester and Birmingham, the O2 Arena in London. There are always great crowds for us. It's a completely different flavour to the kind of crowds we get out here in the US. And obviously being an English kid, I love going back home there too. And also there's an arena in Paris that probably the loudest fans I've ever wrestled in front of, believe it or not, were the Parisians. So I always enjoy going to that city too. So I mean, we get to experience a lot around the world. I've been to Japan, Australia, South America. I mean, pretty much everywhere, every major country that we have a presence in. I've been there and wrestled there, and you know, it's a pleasure going to see different fans around the world, to be honest with you.
Very cool. We have JJ611 wants to know what it's like to kind of see yourself and play as yourself in a video game. Obviously, it sounds like you've grown up playing like a lot of old school games, and like kind of picturing yourself in a video game someday must be kind of surreal, I imagine.
Definitely. When I was younger, I used to have the Mega Drive, which was known as the Genesis out here in the US, and I had all the different WWE games on that. And then getting a little bit older, I had the N64, and I had there was a great WCW versus NWO game on that I used to play all the time. So certainly I grew up playing wrestling video games, and to see myself in them these days is amazing. But I think one of the coolest things is the fact that I didn't have this when I was younger because the games weren't that advanced, but I wish we had something when I was younger where I could actually make myself in the video game prior to getting to WWE and becoming a wrestler. I would have loved as a kid to have made myself in the video game, but what's really cool about 2K16 is you can actually do that now, and even take a photograph of your own face and put it into the character. I think it's incredible that the game's been designed like that, and I know that when I was in my teens playing the video games, daydreaming about being a wrestler one day. I would have loved to have that opportunity to actually put my face on a video game character and go into the ring and take on the guys I was watching on TV. So that's a pretty awesome thing to have in the game.
Awesome. We have a kind of a silly question here from Gamer Dude 1. Wants to know who you think is the better booty shaker, Dusty Rhodes or Big E?
Oh man, can there be no winner in that one? We've got Lita and Trish in the ring. You want to talk about Dusty and Big E shaking their booty? I mean, yeah, I'm going to have to go with Big E merely because a few weeks ago, one of the pay-per-views, I think it was Survivor Series, I ended up actually shaking my booty alongside Big E. So he's kind of my teacher in that realm, even though no one's a winner when Big E shakes his booty. So.
You guys are getting jiggy with it.
I enjoyed going out with them, actually. That was a different side to me, and you know, and, I think they're pretty entertaining. I think I was one and done with my booty shaking. I think Vince doesn't want to see me ever do that again. That's for sure. And he's not the only one.
Well, we got E1 Bams. Another kind of weird question here. What kind of cheese is your favorite?
I like a really strong, sharp cheddar cheese. That's an interesting question. I love cheeses. I mean, I love brie. Am I going too far into this? Right? Let's just say a strong cheddar, very sharp. That's my favorite.
Very sharp.
Yeah.
Are you allowed much?
I got too excited about that question.
Yeah.
Like,
wow!
Cheddar cheese signs in the crowd. So sorry, I was going to be Swiss cheese.
Well, I don't imagine there's too much cheese allowed in the old diet these days.
It's okay. Later on in the day I can have it. I tend to cut my carbs later on in the day, so actually sometimes a bit of cheese is okay. I need extra calories. I'm a skinny boy. I'm an ectomorph, so things like that. I sometimes have a bit of cheese in the diet and guacamole and stuff like that. So yeah, sometimes I need calories.
Nice. So it's not all just like
No,
lettuce and
what I
protein.
stay away from more than anything is sugars. Sugars is what I cut out of my diet more than anything else, and that's what helped me get leaner.
Do you crave it though?
I don't at all, no. I see there's certain guys in the locker room that just love candy and stuff like that. I never, since I've been an adult anyway, I was never into candy or anything like that, so I don't crave it. If I do, I tend to have fruit, and I tend to get a bit of a kind of a sweet fix from fruit. I eat a lot of fruit, but in terms of candy and stuff, no, I don't miss that at all.
I was listening to Jericho's podcast, and then he was talking about Warrior. He would like crumble up a cookie and smell it,
Oh,
and
really?
then throw it away, and that was
Wow.
how he like took in his sweets. And I was like, "That's awesome.
That's
I can't do that though." I was like,
Well, I
Yeah,
remember.
I can't get that close to the mouth and not
right?
just eat it.
Like,
I remember in about 2006, I was trying out with WWE, and I was kind of backstage, all nervous, you know, and like we wrestled during the day, and later on it was the show that kind of kept us back there in case they needed us to run out dressed as security guards or anything like that. But I was standing around, and there was one guy, I won't name him, but he had incredible physique. He was a wrestler at the time, he's not there anymore. Incredible physique, and I saw him ripping open packets of sugar that you put in the coffee. He probably had about 10 or 20 packets and emptied them into his mouth right before his match. And I was like, what is he doing? Why is he doing that? I spoke to him afterwards, and apparently, when you're as lean as he was, if you do that before the match, it makes all the veins on your body stick out because you get this sudden sugar rush. So he's just there downing packets of sugar from the coffee stand.
oh my God.
It was bizarre to see it happen.
Now he has diabetes.
I've never resorted to that tactic myself. I'm kind of good without that.
He's
thing.
like, he's all cavity. Oh, wow. Well, back in the day, they used to do the hot ice or whatever.
A lot of the guys like to take niacin pills these days. It's pills you can buy in like Walgreens and stuff like that. It gives your skin a certain little glow. I don't know what the medical reason is why you would buy it from a health food store, but if you take a couple of pills of this, it sometimes gives your skin a bit of a glow, makes you sweat and stuff like that. It makes your tan look better. So some guys try that. I've tried it once. I didn't like it. It made me feel like I had spiders running under my skin. So yeah.
Yeah, that sounds a little creepy. That sounds a little creepy. We've got an interesting question here. Bob from Philly wants to know, who's the better referee, Tim White or John Cohen?
Well, seeing as Timmy White is sat right by me, I'm going to have to go with him. However, I will say that John Cone is now involved in talent relations and can technically hire and fire and cut paychecks to people. So, John Cone, if you are watching, I'm assuming he's probably in bed right now. He's just got back from traveling. You're also up there too, buddy. Don't worry.
We also, speaking of the traveling, we have Major Gamer 96 wants to know what it's like to be in this kind of lifestyle where you're traveling and spending so much time on the road.
To be honest with you, it's a bit of a blur. I'd say the first year was absolutely insane to go from being in my own bed every night and eating from my own fridge every night to literally spending 50 nights a year in my own bed was absolutely insane to go from that. Now I've been doing it for about 6 years. This lifestyle is kind of normal, and if I'm at home too long, if I'm home for more than a week, I get very antsy and kind of need to go away somewhere and go and do something. So it's interesting. It's often a bit of a blur. I've had probably 4 hours sleep last night. I flew across the country from New York over to San Francisco. I'm going to be here all day now, and then tonight at 10:30 at night I'm getting another 6-hour flight back the other way to get back to the East Coast. If I'm lucky, I'll get to sleep on the plane. I seriously doubt it. I don't sleep well on planes, so a lot of the time you're running on coffee and you know, you're half awake and trying to do the best you can when you're extremely tired, and that's a lot of the life of a WWE superstar. And I've had that before where I've had to, you know, fly around the world, not sleep for 48 hours, and then get to an arena in I don't know, South Africa or something, go out and wrestle on 0 sleep, and that's a regular thing. So it's a bit of a blur, but it's what we sign up for, and the payoff is we get to step out in front of thousands of screaming fans and do what we do as WWE superstars. So you know, there's good points and bad points to it, but I've been doing it 6 years now, so somewhere I must think it's obviously pretty worth it, you know, and I'm still having a good time doing it.
That's great. Well, I think maybe for some of the people who tuned in partway through, it might be cool to fire up another Dusty Bossman match, maybe if they missed it on the early part of the stream.
Kick that over, John.
But we also, you don't have to just talk about American football. We also have lots of questions about the Euro 2016 and what are your thoughts on the teams going into that?
Well, I was very, very excited about the fact that England got drawn in the same group as Wales. I spent a lot of my life growing up in the country of Wales, and a lot of people in the US haven't actually heard of the country of Wales, which blows me away. But it's a country that's kind of part of the United Kingdom. It's attached to England. It's about a population of only about 3 million people, but they've qualified for this Euro 2016 tournament. It's the first time in 58 years they've actually qualified for a major tournament, so it's huge for Wales, and they've ended up being drawn in the same group as England. So I'm very excited for that game to happen. Obviously, I'm a huge, very proud Englishman myself, so I'm looking forward to us destroying the Welsh, hopefully. But on top of that, I mean, you've got the Republic of Ireland are going to be there. They've got a very tough group, so I don't see them doing too much out there. Northern Ireland are there too. I think they've done great to qualify. Again, I think their group is pretty tough. So I'd say of the home nations, if we're going to call Republic of Ireland the home nation too, I can only see England getting through. Possibly Wales, I can see getting through in second or third place, depending on how it goes. But I think all bets need to go on England. But then outside of the group games, I think you've got to look at Belgium, kind of a dark horse. They've got a great team on paper, but they never seem to play well in major tournaments. But obviously the Spanish tend to be pretty good, and especially the Germans. The Germans are the reigning world champions, so they're the team that I'd really want to avoid.
Very cool. Well, since we brought up Tim White on the stream, we have some requests for him to come and say hi. So
get on board, Timmy White. Here he is.
You can just kind of pop in.
Jump in, say hello to all your fans. They haven't seen you for a while.
Well, what a pleasure.
There he is. Here, you can take a seat where I'm at real quick.
Be back with you guys.
So people can see you.
It would hang Barrett.
There we go, Timmy White. Here he is.
Well,
there's a camera over there, man.
Just grab a seat real quick.
Okay. Now.
Tell us about Dusty Rhodes. You must have known him pretty well.
Oh, Dusty. Let me tell you something. I miss him and the Big Boss Man. They are the two of the greatest guys and wrestlers that I really get to work with in the ring. And, you know, I'm just the luckiest guy on earth, right? I've lasted 30 years with these great guys, right? Getting in that ring, entertaining thousands and thousands and thousands. And when I was in the ring, it turned into millions and millions and millions.
I smell what you're cooking.
And I like what you like.
No, there's definitely a part of me that's very jealous of you, because all these guys that we're watching here now from the Legends Pack, these are the guys that I grew up watching and the guys that were my heroes and inspired me to become a wrestler that I am today. So I'm jealous of the fact that you got to spend so much time around them, and I'm sure you all had great times.
And listen,
What's your favorite Dusty Rhodes memory?
well, it wasn't in the wrestling ring.
It has to be PG, man. Let's get that clear right now.
No, he was the greatest entertainer, wrestler, and like King Barrett mentioned, he coached all these young guys as they were coming through. He was the best. I loved him. And all the years I traveled with Andre, I said, who's the guy? He goes, Dusty and Rick, meaning Ric Flair. And because they just had it. And that was just wonderful to be around those guys, you know? Like I said, I'm a lucky guy, and it's Christmas time, so you guys can give me presents if you want. And going back to the other question, John Cone or me, you can't compare it.
Let's hope Cone isn't watching this.
Well,
Neither of us will be getting paid this week.
Maybe I can take care of it. John's a great guy, great referee. I'm proud of all the new referees. You know, I had my run, and it was fantastic. But sooner or later, you're done. And my later was Hell in the Cell with Chris Jericho and Triple H, and that one really hurt. But we've all been hurt. Right?
Sure, yeah, it's part of the job, unfortunately.
You just come back. I mean, it's a show. Okay, we get that, but it's the most physical show on earth. And what these guys do every night. Night after night after night. I just can't believe it.
Do you have any fond memories of Big Boss Man backstage?
Well, his name was Ray, and I thought he was just a terrific guy. And he was a big man, and boy, could he move. And I used to get in his way in the ring. He goes, "Move, move," because he was so quick for a big guy, and he was terrific. And again, like Dusty and Big Boss Man, I miss these guys. What do you end up? Like my dad says, we're all in the same boat. None of us get out of this alive. So just have a good time. Do the best you can. Right? Bingo.
That's true. Great. Well, thank you for
yeah,
for
no,
popping
you're
on
not getting
camera
the seat back.
I'm gonna fight for it. And he knows some dirty tricks.
A couple.
Do you have a favorite Christmas movie, Barrett?
Do I have
Get you in the mood for the
You
holidays?
know what? I really haven't seen too many. I've been meaning to watch The Miz's new one. It's got Paige in it. It's Santa's Little Helper, I think it's called. I've been meaning to watch it. Believe it or not, the day it got released, I went to Walmart. I went to 3 Walmarts to buy it, and every single one it sold out. So I legit went there, and I couldn't find it anywhere. I believe it's going to be on TV coming up this week. I don't know what channel it's going to be on.
USA.
Okay, Friday on USA, so I'm definitely going to check that out. My favourite, I'd have to say, would be Home Alone 2. I think it's probably most people's favourite. It's the best I've ever seen anyway. It's you know, it's the kind of Christmas movie that you can literally watch at any point in the year, which tells you that it's obviously a very good movie if that's the case. It's usually Christmas movies, you've got about a 2-week window where you watch them, but Home Alone 2 is one I could watch any time of year. And yeah, that was a great movie.
What about Die Hard?
Die Hard, you know what? I think I saw that once when I was a kid. I haven't seen it in a long time, or maybe I need to rewatch that one.
Classic.
I go Rocky 4.
Rocky 4.
I
go Terminator 2.
They fought on Christmas Day. That counts.
All right then. RoboCop. That must be a Christmas movie somewhere.
RoboCop versus Sting. It happened. Or with Sting, right?
Yeah, with Sting.
So we've got a request for a shout out. A Trell29 is celebrating birthday today.
Trell 29?
A Trell 29?
A Trell 29. Happy birthday. I wish we had your real name.
Hey, you know, I think they enjoy having their screen name called out.
Oh, they do. These kids nowadays, with their handles and all that stuff. Oh.
That's right.
I really am an old man.
We're wrapping up here, but we got a couple more questions left in the hour before we wrap up at 4. We got To The Max MC wants to know where the Bullhammer name came from, and I'm also curious. The nice flare where the reverse of the elbow pad, the whole creation of the
this
boot.
guy. Look at that.
Look at that physique on that guy. I think we should just pause it there for the rest of this. But JBL was actually reading a book by an old bare knuckle fighter called Bartley Gorman, who was a big fighter in the UK, and he had a punch that he called the Bullhammer. That was his kind of finish punch where he used to knock people out. So as a tribute to him, we kind of took that and renamed my elbow finisher the Bullhammer, which I thought was a pretty cool name. It sounded pretty impactful. The turning the elbow pad inside out, it's just supposed to mean red for danger. It's just a bit of showbiz, that's all it is. It's like when HBK used to kind of stomp his foot in the corner before hitting his sweet chin music. You know, it's just a bit of showbiz. That's what wrestling is. It's a very simple art form, storyline, but what makes it so great is the showbiz and the excitement and the, you know, what we add to it, the little things like that. So that's all it is. It gets the crowd excited because they know something's about to happen. Either I'm about to beat somebody or they're about to duck and start beating me up or whatever it is. But it's just that excitement factor, and that's what we do in WWE. We're showbiz aficionados, I suppose. But yeah, that's all that is.
I like the tie-in with red and the bull.
Yeah, maybe. Actually, originally I was contemplating having something hidden in the pad where it hit people, and there was a bit of metal in there, kind of like Lex Luger when he was
Mike Sharp
knocking, that kind of thing, knocking people out with his steel forearm, his steel plate in his forearm or whatever that was. But we didn't go in that direction in the end, which I thought would have been pretty cool to have done it, but we didn't actually go with it.
Well, we have seemingly a kind of trolling question to round out the chat questions. Mets fan Chris wants to know what's with Preston North End hanging in 16th place.
Well, to be fair to Preston North End, they only got promoted last season, so it's always tough when you get up to a new division where all the teams are better. So this is a year of consolidation. So all we have to do this season is remain in 20th place or above, then we'll stay in that division. I believe 100% they will do it, and then next year we'll start our push for promotion of the playoff places and stuff like that. So I know you're trying to bait me, you're trying to get me angry. You're not going to do that. You're just making yourself sound uninformed. So trust me, Preston North End this year we're going to stay up. Next year we're going to be in the playoffs. If we don't go through the playoffs that year, the following year we will win that league and we will be in the Premiership. You're talking to a football expert.
Fantastic. Well, on that note, I just want to thank you, King Barrett, for coming to visit us for the live stream.
My pleasure. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Yeah, thank you for watching, everyone. And we've got the Legends Pack coming out on 12/22 very soon here for $8.99, and it's also part of the season pass for $24.99. So. We hope you enjoyed the first look at the Legends Pack and being able to hang out with King Barrett here. And hope to tune in soon. We'll probably see you guys after the new year.
Sweet. Thanks, guys.